Hey everybody, Jeff Johnson, creator of WeatherMaker. I'd like to demo the Fog Cube and Fog Sphere prefabs. Let's dive right in. In the demo scene, under the World object, you have Fog Cube and Fog Sphere. Let's take a look at the properties. On the Fog Cube, we have Fog Box Percentage. As this approaches 1, the fog fills the whole volume, and down to 0 gets real tiny. Fog Rendering, the blur and the downsample are not supported. That's only for the full screen. You can, however, set the dither. Fog Distortion controls how the fog spreads out randomly. So for example, if you turn off the fog distortion, you get a perfect cube of fog. As you increase the fog height variance, it spreads out in very interesting ways. Probably you'll want to keep that fairly low. You can change the scale of the height, which makes the breakup tinier and finer grained, or you can make it really small and it becomes more wispy, gelatinous almost. So depending on the effect you want, you can change those up. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you can get a better view of the fog. The fog noise, just same as the full screen fog, just controls how the fog looks, the variance of the fog. I'll just crank that all the way up. You can really see the particles moving through the fog now. For the Fog Cube, the noise works differently than the sphere. You'll see how noise works in the sphere in a minute, but for the cube you can really crank up that noise and it looks pretty nice. Velocity, obviously the same thing. Set your X and Y velocity and that controls how the fog moves. These obviously, as you can see here, don't map up quite. You see the fog moving down even though we've got positive Y. So just set whatever makes sense for how you want it to look. And of course we've got fog color, which will tint your fog. The nice thing also is these, as with the full screen fog, it reacts to the sun in your scene. Now that the sun is gone, we're just running off of ambient light. Now the moon came up, so we get a little more light. So that's the Fog Cube. We will go ahead and shut the Fog Cube off now and switch over to the Fog Sphere. So the Fog Sphere, as you can see in the demo scene, the scene view, we've got a perfect sphere here and the fog. Both the cube and the sphere react to the depth buffer, so you can see as it goes down. Look, there we go. You can see it very nicely conforms to the depth buffer. Even with these trees here, you can see it intersecting them nicely, which is pretty cool. Then one handy thing is you can have as many of these as you want in your scene. Go to town. Performance is great even on mobile. I don't do branching or ray tracing. This is all very heavily optimized fog, and it's not 100% realistic obviously, but I think it's pretty good, and for the performance, for how performant it is, I think it's a very good sweet spot. So let's take a look a little bit more at what the sphere does compared to the box. I talked about noise. You can see noise on the sphere. It gets a little more grainy, a little more obvious. So if you're using the noise texture 1, that's a Perlin noise texture, and you're going to get this kind of grainy effect. You can, however, switch that to texture 2, which is more wispy, and then you get a kind of a nicer, more cloudy noise. Depending on the look you want, you can really mix and match noise textures here. I'm going to go ahead and crank up the fog velocity so you can see it wisp around a little better. There we go, that looks pretty nice. Changing the scale obviously makes the noise more fine-grained, and then bringing that back. So you can get some really nice looking fog. But yeah, just depending on your noise texture, check that scale, check the noise multiplier, slide them around until your fog looks nice. In the sphere, the height multiplier will also change the fog to get smaller and more broken up. And then obviously as that is at 0, you've got a perfect sphere of fog. So depending on your effect, you may want a perfect sphere, like an orb, a magical orb, foggy orb, or whatever your mind can think of. So I really think these prefabs are awesome. They work great on mobile again. Please use them on mobile. Don't worry about the performance. It's great, and if you do run into any problems, you can email support@digitalruby.com. I'm always here to help. And there's that percentage guy here. Makes the fog smaller inside of the volume. And that's pretty much it for Fog Sphere and Fog Cube. Since I'm in play mode, I'll just go ahead and make some more spheres. Like 20 of them. I mean, the performance in my GPU doesn't really care. It laughs at all of these fog spheres and has no problem rendering them because they just have a shader that's super optimized and does not care. I mean, it's like just a few simple multiplications and math instructions, and so you really can, the sky's the limit here on what you want to do with fog volumes. So, and this is a laptop. I've got a laptop with a mobile GPU that's a few years old and it's having no problem. So have at it. Again, send me your questions and comments on the YouTube channel. Support@digitalruby.com is the email, and I really appreciate you using WeatherMaker, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Bye.